The legend of Rempe will never fade. Crank it louder, feel the heat. Barbecue anthems forever sway. Get in the smoke, yeah, the fire won't die. With central lights cheering, the flames reach the sky. Raise your glasses, let the whole world know we're rocking forever on the barbecue show. Get in the smoke, let the fire take hold. Raise your lighter, stories told. Barbecue thunder, the spotlights glow. Rocking the pit on the barbecue show. And still going strong. White whales landed.
This is John Dawson of Patio Daddy-O Barbecue in Boise, Idaho, and I've got it locked on the 50,000 gigawatt blowtorch of the internet that is Barbecue Central.
Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
And welcome to the really big Barbecue Central show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast, and within the last hour, the trade capital of the NBA North Coast. If you're into that kind of a thing. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire fun and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do all that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening. In case you didn't read the Facebook post, because remember, we waxed the newsletter as of this show. So every communication from a heads-up standpoint will go on the show Facebook fan page. So make sure you give that a like and a follow and a subscribe and whatever you do to a Facebook page so you can get the updates on what's going on later in the show on a Tuesday. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now is the first Tuesday of February, believe it or not. And we are, of course, joined by our pal Malcolm Reed out of Barbecue Right. Don't know if you knew it or not, but soon enough we will be seeing the last NFL game of the 2025 breaching into the 2026 season. So we have menus to talk about and games to break down, really a game to break down. Perhaps our favorite teams to break down, and Malcolm's team is probably in a much better way than my beloved Cleveland Browns. So plenty to talk about to Malcolm with, as it is going to be coming around 11 minutes from now. And then after Malcolm, Did you know that in a few months' time, we will see what I believe is the 48th version of Memphis in May? And who better to join us than the executive vice president of the Memphis in May International Festival and second-timer to the show, Kevin Grothe. And until 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, it was going to be a lot of only what's coming up in Memphis in May this year, also highlighting the open fire portion, which is certainly brand new to Memphis in May. We can't discard, neglect, or ignore the fact that all of a sudden Memphis in May's staunchest same weekend competitor has called a pause to their 2026 event and said that there is a sanctioning or a unification event that is in the works. So we have to talk about that with Kevin as well. So hopefully he's open to entertaining some of that, or at least what Memphis in May believes to be the truth of that whole thing. And then we'll delve into what's going to be happening in calendar year 2026. So looking forward to that. That'll bring the first hour to a close. We'll move to the second hour. 14 past the second hour can only mean of that first Tuesday, a visit from Sam the Cooking Guy. Yes, indeed. Sam was in Vegas this past weekend doing a burger collaboration with a joint that is inside the Cosmopolitan Resort, Casino, Hotel, whatever you call it. He also did a little eating around Las Vegas video. So we're going to be talking about what I did during my time there 3 weeks ago at this point. And then a compare-contrast to what Sam does there. And then, of course, there's this tamale pizza that I have to ask him about, as well as a few other things. And then closing the show out tonight and a first visit quarterly from our pal, a newfound quarterly visitor from 2025 who has carried over into 2026, David Gafford from the Barbecue Lab. David doing tremendous things over at the Barbecue Lab, doing the greatest roundups that you have ever seen on the internet. And that promises to carry over. So we'll see what's happening with David, how 2025 ended for the Barbecue Lab, what goals are for the Barbecue Lab here as we breach into 2026, all the fun stuff. So that's what's happening here on the show tonight. A Malcolm Reed, a Kevin Grothe first hour, a Sam the Cooking Guy, and a David Gafford in the second hour. Don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and LinkedIn, all at the handle at BBQ Central Show. And of course, we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of the video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. We have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, spawned by her words and not mine last week. Who should I start a new podcast with? Sam the Cooking Guy or Jess Pryles? And currently 69% of you are saying Jess Pryles is the one we should be starting a new podcast with. Results from the poll question of last week. Are you familiar with Heated Rivalry? And 65% of you answered no. I wonder if 65% of you are still unfamiliar with Heated Rivalry, or if I caused enough urgency for you to speak that out. Anyway, let's start here tonight. And the question of the week, just a lead-in, because, of course, as with every Jess Pryles segment, the inevitable questions come around. Namely, when are you two going to do your own show? And it becomes especially more interesting to all of you when she says, quote, when are we going to do our own show during the segment? I mean, I get all of that. But as I have said before, as someone who fully understands the commitment it takes to do a successful show, and believe it or not, in 4 days, I will have been doing this show live for 18 years. 18. Add 2 more onto that number, and that's how long I've been doing the show in total. As you might recall, the show was a podcast-only show when it started from 2006 to 2008. Before we started the live version. So I have an idea of what it takes to do this kind of a thing. And while everyone and their mom has a podcast and new ones hit the feed every single day, I'm not interested in doing something because it feels good at the moment. In fact, I am disinterested in doing a show just because someone brings up good, or somebody brings up how good of an idea it might be. Good shows have plans. Good shows have vision. Good shows have repetition. Good shows carry a long, burning passion. And most of all, good shows have a host or hosts who don't see an end. Am I saying that Jess isn't meeting those requirements? No. But I am saying this. Socially, she is way more popular than I am. From a business standpoint, she is way busier than me from a travel and an engagement standpoint. So while I can sit here and tell you that I know what it takes to do this and do it right, Jess would have to be the one that approaches me, because I'm not asking her. She would have to bring the concept, the vision, the roadmap of success for me to evaluate, and then she would have to commit to actually doing it. And really, when you break it down, all of these components, the hardest one is the last one. Yes, it's all fun and sexy in those first few shows, but what about show 45 or show 145? Or how about show 945? Indeed, that is when the real players show up and when the fakers succumb to pod fade. So the ball is in anyone's court who feels like I would be a good show partner. Just know that my standards are high because that's where they have evolved to. If you haven't already met those standards, we aren't going to be doing anything. It's an effective non-start, as they say in the NASCAR industry. Malcolm Reed is in the green room. He's ready to go. Another one who has found a way to continue to do podcasting correctly. Before we get to Malcolm, let me talk to you quickly about our pals over at Primo Grill. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that they can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We love that they can get rip-roaring hot for high-temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker isn't very realistic. Why? Because it's round. And a Primo Grill and their game-changing oval design, the shape, giving you the ability to execute that two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. And when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways, 60 different ways to cook on this thing. So you're only limited by your culinary imagination. By the way, only sold through dealers. So find one near you. Go to primogrill.com, search the dealer locator, then visit in person, touch and feel all the ovals that you wish, and then take home the one that best fits your needs. All the accessories that you want as well, so don't worry about any of that. Primogrill.com, that's primogrill.com. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz? Yes. Patented technology? Yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities with multiple sizes of ovals? Yes and yes. Don't forget to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Primogrill.com. We're back with our pal Malcolm Reed right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard, makers of Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the wireless Fireboard Pulse. When you use the Fireboard app, you have access to all devices anywhere in the world as long as they're connected to your local area network. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. The good folks over at Fireboard. Jason Pettis weighing in. The Barbecue Central show number 56 was a banger. You remember 56, Jason? Good for you. What a fan. What a fan. All right, my first guest tonight needs no introduction. He is approaching 2 million YouTube subscribers as I checked on February 1st of 2026. 1.9 million of you currently subscribed. He is the first Tuesday of the month regular guest. Malcolm Reed is here. Hey, Malcolm.
What's happening, Greg?
We have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. Malcolm, who should I start a new podcast with? Sam the Cooking Guy or Jess Pryles?
Wow, that's a tough one there, man. Both would be excellent co-host. I think you should shake it up with Jess. I mean, both of y'all are excellent talents. I mean, you've been doing it so long, killing it. I don't know how to follow that intro you just gave, man. That's how a professional does it. But I think Jess would be interested too.
73% of the YouTube voting public is also agreeing with Malcolm Reed, saying that Jess Pryles would make a great co-host in some brand new podcast that was never, ever going to happen. But it's certainly fun to talk about. Malcolm, football is coming up, and I don't know where you fall out on NBA other than Memphis Grizzlies or kind of your local team. Are you an NBA fan?
Yeah, I try to keep up with it, man. I've been seeing all the trades going down today. We just dropped half our team, it seemed like. The Grizzlies did. We picked up some first-round picks. I'm not too excited about who they transferred, but I saw the Cleveland news, man. Congrats.
I don't know if that's congratulations. Darius Garland, I mean, so you have a 36-year-old now incoming James Harden. We've traded away a 26-year-old Darius Garland who has really not seen the playing for very much at all this year. Of course, had that foot injury during the playoff run of 2025 and never seemed to really get onto his feet this year. I mean, to me, almost like football or any other sport that involves you being on your feet, if they're not good, you're kind of screwed, especially in football, right? Or especially in basketball, because you're on those feet, you're cutting, you're pivoting, you're doing jumping and landing, you're doing all this stuff. If your feet aren't right, while I don't know if it's a great trade for us, bringing in a really fat, bearded point guard who's averaging 25 and a half points, by the way, this year, which isn't too shabby. It feels like we've just offloaded somebody who we feel just might be hurt maybe for the long-term foreseeable future.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm no NBA expert by far. But I just know Harden's fun to watch. You know, I remember him down in those Texas days when he was down there playing, and then he's a baller. So I know when they get old, I mean, you know how it goes, but it should still be fun and entertaining.
Here's what I've heard: the Cavs aren't even done. There is a real outside shot that somehow we're going to land Giannis Antetokounmpo this year. And after the season, we're bringing LeBron back. We're going to bring his dopey kid back. And we are, because he's going to be finishing his first year at Arizona, we're going to be in line to draft whoever, I think it's Bryce James. We're going to have 3 Jameses, a Greek freak, and a beard on the team. What do you think about that?
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I think it's terrible. A 98-year-old LeBron James coming back to Cleveland where he won the title. All right. Anyway, we have a big football game coming up here shortly, and of course, neither of our teams are going to be in it. Like, how do you feel about Minnesota's chances for next year?
Not too good with our quarterback situation. I wish they would trade and get somebody. I've got my hopes up that they're going to make some kind of trade happen or pick up somebody. I'd like to see, a good veteran quarterback come in there. I think when we traded away Sam Darnold, I mean that was a pretty dumb move. And then we had Daniel Jones there at that time at the end, let him get by. I mean, it just it's a bad management from the Vikings side.
I guess that's why when you're the general manager, you get whacked.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It seems to be, right?
So, like Monday morning quarterback, getting Sam Darnold off the roster seems like a bonehead move. But when it was happening, did you care that much, given where he was at in the Jets' tenure? Like, can you chalk up that one season with the Minnesota Vikings as lightning in a bottle or flash in the pan?
I mean, I think we got a great head coach that can do a lot with the quarterback, and I think he showed it with Sam Darnold. And I mean, he had one bad game and then choked in the playoffs, and then just kind of wrote him off. But you got to look at the wins we had last year. That was a lot of W's, and he continued over in Seattle. I mean, he's playing good ball now. I kind of hope they win the Super Bowl, so we'll see.
I agree. I hope that the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl. By the way, it seems that Sam Darnold and there's no way his name is going to escape. Josh Allen are like best buddies, and they hang out all the time. And they're so like Josh Allen is not going to be associating with losers. That's what I got to say about that.
No, he's a heck of a quarterback. He's the one that I wouldn't mind seeing again. I'm not a Buffalo fan by any means, but I kind of like Josh Allen. I like watching him play. I like how he plays the game. He plays hard and puts the team on his back. So
big fan. Better than the game itself, certainly the food. And I have to remember to break out the industrial-sized nacho cheese dispenser. We've already talked about it in my house. This is something we cannot forget to do. So that's something that will be making appearance. What's on the menu at a house of Malcolm Reed?
Well, I knew we were going to talk about Super Bowl, so I was going to ask you if he's going to dust it off.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt.
We're definitely going to have pulled pork to do various stuff with. I mean, when we like to do it, I cook a couple butts, and nachos is a big thing. Barbecue nachos, that's where that nacho machine comes in. But we use it to make sliders. We use it to make tacos. We'll have like basically a pulled pork, choose your own adventure. But man, when I think of the Super Bowl, I think of wings. So I have got to cook wings. I've got I'm a spicy garlic, kind of that buffalo with the garlic kick guy. I like the jerk style wing, and then I've got a new one that I'm kind of working on. It's going to be like a chili crisp wing. It's kind of got a little sweet element to it, but it's got some of those Asian flavors with a lot of that good chili. Have you had the little fried chilies in the oil?
Oh yes,
that
delicious.
You get at like Thai restaurants.
Yes.
It makes an excellent wing sauce. You mix it up, sweeten it up a little bit with some honey or brown sugar, a little bit of sesame oil and rice wine and soy sauce, and it just makes a really good sauce.
I think there's a lot of great ways to prepare wings. If you're a listener to this show, there's a really good chance wings are going to be finding their way onto a smoker or onto a grill. If you don't really get into the live fire aspect, you can certainly make pretty good wings inside in a high temperature oven, if that's your thing, or maybe even, roast them up on a skillet or whatever. That might take a little longer. To me, no better wing to start with than a deep fried wing. Oh, yeah. Where do you fall out?
I'm a whole wing man first, and I want them deep fried. That's the traditional way, man. That's the way. Now, when we do them most of the time at home, I'm a grill man, so I'm throwing them on a grill, pellet grill, smoker, something like that. But you're not going to beat a deep fried wing. You just that's the way a hot wing is supposed to be cooked. And there's all kinds of ways to do it, like you mentioned. But I just think that traditional fried, not breaded, just a fried wing. I don't want the breading. I don't want the thick crust on it. I just want the skin to get crispy in a hot oil. I want to toss it in a sauce fast, and I want to eat it right there.
Hot is the best.
No, absolutely.
Hot
just
wing.
Traditional.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're going to be going onto the grill, or if you're going to be doing an oven wing, so no shock, we agree that the whole wing is the best. I will take the wing tip off, just a very minor butchering there, but it's, the flat and the drum. I run a knife just up the center of them a little bit for a little expansion, but they stay together, and everybody seems to love them that way. Really nice to cook as well. I see a lot of people using, is it baking powder or baking soda? It's one of the baking elements, and forgive me, I don't know which one it is. Maybe you do. I would assume you do. What are we using that for?
So a lot of people are using it to get them crispy. And they say that it puts a light coating on it, the outside, especially if you're doing them on, say, like a pellet grill or something like that, to where it's going to give you kind of a fake crust, a faux crust. But to me, you can taste that. I've used it before. I've used a little baking powder on them and tried it. And does it work and it give you like a little texture? Yeah, but I can get that grittiness from it. And I think what it really does is people are using it because they're starting out with those wings too moist, there's too much moisture on them. And so that powder's kind of drying them out, really. And that's what's making them get crispy. Well, if you'll take the time and air dry those wings on a rack in the refrigerator, it'll get the moisture off of them and they'll be really dry. And then you can put a little fat on them, a little oil, brush them with a little oil, spray a little cooking spray on them. That's what's going to help that skin crisp up. And you don't need anything extra. It'll do it itself at the right temperature. And I think people get that wrong too, man. Wings need to be cooked at a higher heat to get that fat to render underneath that skin, to get the skin right. That's how you really do it on a grill or smoker.
Have you messed around with that kettle vortex?
Oh yeah, I've got one. I've done videos with it. It works. It's a way to get higher heat on it. What I do like about it is that you can really crisp them up at the end by moving those wings directly over that vortex. But you got to stay with it. You can't walk away. It's intense heat right there. But man, it'll bubble that skin up, blister it real good, and it kind of makes it crispy. Those are pretty fast wings. What I like about that, you cook them on a Weber kettle style or a round. It really works good for a dome circular style grill, and it throws the heat down away from it without being direct heat underneath it. That's kind of how it works. And so it does get it really crispy. And it cooks it really hot, really fast. You can cook a wing in 25 minutes in one. Whereas if I cook them at 400 on my pellet grill, I'm looking at about an hour, 55 minutes to an hour.
So you're looking for minimum temperature. Do you try and stay away from a maximum temperature to grill? Like, are you okay cruising at 550, 600 if you get there? Indirect?
Man, I've never tried to cook them that hot, honestly, to see what it would do. I mean, when you put that vortex on the Weber, you can't really go by the dial at all. It just wraps it. So because it's throwing all that heat right at it. I don't know how hot it is down at the grate level. If I had to assume, it's got to be 550 probably, because it's cooking them, in half the time that I'm cooking at 400. So I'm assuming it's up there in that range. But I've never really looked to see what temperature that is. I've never really tried to run my egg up super hot and cook wings on it. I've cooked wings a lot on a ceramic grill. It does great. They do a fantastic job. But I try to not keep it up quite that high.
Do you have your own personal buffalo wing sauce that you like?
I just mix stuff up, man. I start with that traditional recipe where it's a stick of butter and a bottle of, like just a Frank style hot sauce. I have my own hot sauce that I use. It's got some garlic notes to it, but I usually tweak it a little bit. I'll usually add a little bit of extra minced garlic. I might put a touch of honey or just a touch of sweetener to balance it out. A little extra onion powder. Just to give it a little bit more flavor, and that's it. It's super simple. I think that's one of the best wing recipes. That's kind of where a good hot wing should start always. And then when you take it to, other places, of course, we do barbecue wings, and we'll do Asian style and all that other stuff just to have some variety. But mainly the ones I'm going to eat are going to be the spicy garlics.
All right, I got a hot take. Stand by. Hot take of the night from Malcolm. The most overrated barbecue protein is pork belly.
I don't know, man. I like some pork belly.
Right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna agree with that. No.
All right, fine.
No.
Now, maybe it's just because either I haven't made it right, or wherever I've gone where it's been on the menu, it hasn't been made right. Or maybe this is just the way it is, and it's just something that isn't agreeable to my palate. I'm getting to the point. Every cube of perceived deliciousness has quite a bit of fat in it. Like, even when it appears like it might have been rendered down enough, there doesn't ever appear to be the right amount to, for lack of a better term, meat to fat ratio. It's always way more fatty, and it's a little chewy. Am I just unlucky all these times, or is that just part and parcel?
No, and I'm gonna change my answer a little bit. Now, if you said pork belly burnt end, I would agree with you. But pork belly in general, when I think of barbecue pork belly, I'm thinking about the belly that comes out of the hog. when we cook a whole hog.
no.
And that's the
delicious.
finest. That's some of the
Yes.
yeah. And so
That's
when you take pork belly that far,
Yeah.
it's a totally different ball game. Now, when you're talking about these little cubes that we we cut into cubes, and some of them render, some of them don't, I agree, that's overrated. Sometimes I've made some that have been fantastic, melt in your mouth, and then I get some that are hard as rocks you can't chew. Then I get some that's just a wad of fat that never rendered. And so I think it's just how it turns out. Some of them are better than others, but
in my experience,
I'll tell you how those little cubes are.
In my experience, you're running the gamut on every single cook. It's not like you ran a batch of really great ones and then the next time they all suck. Yeah. It's one bite is great, the next one is hard as a rock, and the third one never rendered.
I've got a way for you to try them.
Right.
Don't put too much seasoning on them. Just keep it simple. Just salt and smoke those cubes the same way until you think they're done. Let them cool down. Drop them in that same fat fryer that you do those wings in, and see what happens.
Wow, no way.
It will turn into the best little chicharron bite you've ever had, and it is unbelievable.
Is that something that hasn't had its moment in real life yet? The chicharron, like in our barbecue world, or has that come and gone? Do you think?
I mean, I think people that know, but it's not like a mainstream thing, because that's some of the finest ways to cook pork belly to me is to cut them in strips and then score it a little bit, smoke it till it's rendered down, and then deep fry it. It just changes the ball game on how you eat it. But I love pork skins. I love chicharrones. I love cracklings that we get down in Louisiana. I mean, all that stuff comes from the pork belly.
So 2 years ago, there was the big smoke fried wing. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily lost popularity, but a lot of people started getting into it. I've never done it myself, but I question how much smoke can you put on that wing, and how much is it losing when you really drop it in that fat to finish it off? Or do you have to almost reverse the process in order to get the smoke to soak on?
So that's where lower temps come with the first part of cooking that wing, and you can get some smoke flavor in there. Once again, I don't like to go too heavy with the seasoning on them because it's going to burn your oil up, and that oil's not good for anything. Once you drop all that heavy barbecue rub that's been on the wing, and you got that smoke flavor in there. But if you start those wings out fairly neutral, a little salt, pepper, garlic on them, and you smoke them at a lower temp, say you're down 250 or a little bit less, and you let them go till they're about 150, 155. They're not done by any means. And then you drop them off in that fryer to crisp them up and to really get that skin crispy. They're pretty good that way. And then toss them in the sauce when you get through. So it's basically another way to crisp them by jacking that temperature up. That's all you're doing.
Were you surprised to see Blackstone come to the market with a Santa Maria style grill?
You know what? I was. I didn't think that was in the wheelhouse. That was different. But hey, it just goes to show you some more of that live fire style cooking's bleeding over into something that's mainstream. If a company like that's doing flat tops is getting into it.
Last question before I let you go. I don't remember. I know we talked about it last month, but I don't know if we covered this specifically since January when we first talked. Actually, it was pre-recorded, so that was probably even before end of the year. Smoke Slam has paused their event for this year. Talks of a unification. We'll be talking with Kevin Grothe here after we're done with you. Any thoughts on a Smoke Slam pause, and your thoughts on a unified event as somebody who has been a longtime Memphis and May lover?
I mean, I didn't think it made sense to have two on the same weekend anyway from the get-go. That was kind of my thing. I was like, man, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what are you trying to do? To split the city? So yeah, I'm not shocked at all that one of them bowed down, and I'm not shocked that it was Smoke Slam because Memphis and May has been around so long. And we've got all these people that are loyal to Memphis and May, and it's a great event. Not that Smoke Slam wasn't a great event. I actually went down there and checked it out a little bit last year. It was a cool event, and it was in the old spot on the river. But hopefully, I never like to see a contest completely go away like that. I think it's bad for barbecue. So if they can come to some kind of compromise, do I think there is I don't know, have as much notoriety or even any comparison to Memphis and May, the World Championship? No. You can't just make something up and just because you get a big pay purse and say, oh, all of a sudden you're the the biggest and the best, and you need to combine with me. I don't think that's a right way to look at it, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think Memphis in May has proved that they're going to be around no matter where they're at. People are going to come cook it. It's ran by a great bunch of people, and a lot of my buddies still and will cook it for years to come. So I'm glad to see Memphis in May doing as well as they are.
Malcolm Reed right here. Of course, you can subscribe to his YouTube channel over at youtube.com/@howtobbqright. And you can find him here the first Tuesday of every month. Malcolm, appreciate the time, and we will see you in March.
All right, Greg. Have a good one, man.
You got it. Our pal Malcolm right there. And a lot of people agreeing with Malcolm on his take there with Memphis in May. Good news is we have the executive vice president on deck. So looking forward to that. Before we get to him, let's talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smoker's new year, new barbecue goals. Fire up the flavor. Oh, wait, we're in February now, right? Yes. Competition season's heating up. And now the time's to stock up with Big Papa Smokers, your source for championship barbecue flavors. Load up on the award-winning Sweet Money and the competition-proven brisket and steak rub before the pits fire up and the smoke rolls in. Whether you're chasing trophies or perfecting your backyard game, Big Papa's got the flavor that wins. Shop now at BigPapaSmokers.com, and while you're at it, use promo code REMPE26, that's REMPE 26, all one word together, REMPE26 at checkout for free shipping. Exclusions apply. Big Papa Smokers, real barbecue, real results. And we're back with Kevin Grothe right after this. Stick around, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories. If you're a beginner or a professional, it doesn't matter. You want to add it to the arsenal. It's fun to cook on. PitBarrelCooker.com is the website. And tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you, for crying out loud. My next guest made his debut on this show about a year ago. This coming May, the biggest, longest-running barbecue event in Memphis returns to Liberty Park in an effort to crown the best pork cooker of the year. And in addition to that, they are sprinkling in some new items as well that have caught the interest of the industry. And unless you have been living under a rock, there's something in recent news we will be talking about as well. We welcome back the Executive Vice President of the Memphis in May International Festival, Kevin Grothe. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Greg. Good to be with you tonight.
Happy to have you. And before we get going, we have a YouTube poll question of the week. And as you are a huge fan of the show, of course, that goes without saying. Who should I start a new podcast with? Sam the Cooking Guy or Jess Pryles?
Ooh, I think I will go with Sam the Cooking Guy.
All right, 35% of the YouTube voting public agreeing with you, 65% agreeing that Jess Pryles is the one I should be going with. Neither I will actually be doing a podcast with, but it's always fun to talk about these things. So let's start here because it's news of the day. A few weeks ago, Smoke Slam announces a pause in 2026 for their event, whatever that means. Then goes on to mention that they are in talks with Memphis in May about devising a unified event for next year. Memphis in May CEO Mac Weaver acknowledges the pause of Smoke Slam, but also clearly states that while there might be some dialogue going on, there's certainly nothing concrete in regards to any type of unifying event. So at 9:37 p.m. on a February 3rd, where are we sitting with all this?
Well, Greg, here's how it got started. There have been talks and interest to bring Memphis in May back downtown. We're trying to continue to improve the overall image of downtown Memphis. Memphis in May played a critical part of that back in 1977 and has been continuously doing that for nearly 5 decades. We said that if that's what's good for the city, we're open to discussions, because our festival has always been for the city and for the world, whether it's music, barbecue, or any other venture that we would take on. So what that would look like, nobody knew. We at least have gone to the table a few times. There have been 30,000 foot level ideas, no specifics at this stage of the game on how it would be done, other than a commitment that all the resources would be made available from a city standpoint, knowing that Tom Lee Park could not host an event the size of Memphis in May. We made a couple of points very clear from the get-go. One, we're going to stay independent. We're going to remain Memphis in May. We're not going to morph into something else. We're not going to merge with anybody. We stand firmly that the tradition of Memphis in May, and especially the World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest, is an important identity for not just the organization, but I think for our city. I think Malcolm stated it very eloquently, to be honest with you, Greg. But we would work with anybody if it helps make the event bigger, better. That's okay. But it's still going to be Memphis in May. It's still going to be the World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest. And that's really the extent of where the conversations are and have been. And like anything, discussions usually move very, very slowly.
Last week, we had the Embedded Correspondence segment. We talked about some of these items. During the conversation, my Texas correspondent mentioned that the past 2 years of the Memphis in May barbecue component have been pretty hefty money losers, and that he could see from whatever he's able to see from the pro forma tax stuff, this and that. I mean, this is like a rocket science guy, so he's a pretty smart guy. We're trying to figure out like what's left in the reserves standpoint, and from what he could see, he's like, well, if they maintain the same amount of loss, you're looking at maybe a couple years left before things might get a little dire. Is that a fair assessment?
Things are much tighter now than they were pre-COVID. We had a good reserve build up. Part of the reason that we made the decision to pause for, now it's been year 3, the Beale Street Music Festival, was we didn't think that we could afford the risk factor that it takes to run a music event. The last year that we did it, we had an upfront expense on talent of in excess of $4 million. So when you go do that, you really need to perform to recoup that, right? Barbecue is a much different scenario, okay? And the good part, and we're making changes to help offset the decrease that we've seen in some participation from a barbecue team standpoint, and also kind of change it and be more than just a contest. We don't want to diminish the allure, the prestige of the contest, but we think there's room for having a contest and be a festival, something for everyone from a public component. So with what we're seeing already this year, with the addition of the open fire contest, we're in year 2 of our junior contest. Even the very first week that applications were open in November, Greg, we already had like 6 or 7 new teams. And I think it's mainly because we've started an outreach program working with entities like Al Fragoni and the Open Fire. We've been working with the Rib Cook-Off Association. We've been working with the Champions Barbecue Alliance out of Texas, the Steak Cook-Off Association. We introduced that a year ago. All those things, I think, are enhancing the overall event, the contest itself. And I think we have seen an increase of new teams because of those types of programs that we have initiated. I could tell you on the open fire alone, we already have teams from Germany, Ireland, Brazil, Argentina, and Canada signed up just for the open fire contest itself.
Wow. One last question about the previous topic. Nothing to do with Smoke Slam necessarily, but to me, and who am I, it seems horrendously unrealistic that Memphis in May would go back to Tom Lee Park, given its newly revised condition that was supposed to be done under your direction, all of the damages that took place. I think it would be short-sighted to think that moving back to Tom Lee Park would somehow be less of an intrusion as it had been for the last 50 years. Aside from where it is at the end of the street, or you're on the river, I mean, I get all the reasons why it was a great look. Mm-hmm. But from a realistic standpoint, this doesn't seem like it would make a lot of sense for you guys to go back over there without a ton of assurances that you were going to get jammed up.
Well, one of the talking points has been, how can we create this event and utilize Tom Lee Park and other sectors of downtown? Let's think of it in a different way than ever before. And I don't know what that would look like. That's part of the puzzle to figure out. But that's what has been put out onto the table, that nothing is off limits as far as downtown is concerned. Now, again, as somebody always told me a long time ago, love is in the details.
Well, the good news is this. I'm a forward thinker. I have the solution to everything. It's called Cleveland in May. Look at this play. Cleveland in May. It's got a nice ring to it. All right, so what are we expecting as spectators and potentially competitors in this version of Memphis in May this year?
Yeah, so the main portion of the contest remains unchanged for 2026. Like I said before, we added the state cook-off component. Last year had well over 100 entries into that. So that will stay put. We're in year 2 of the junior contest that we started a year ago, which was a huge success. We had 22 teams from 7 different states in the first year. The good part about it, Greg, was the entry fee was very modest. It was $500. We designed the contest so that it was more of shorter type cooks. So as an example, the categories were steak and pork chops and chicken drumsticks and dessert, not briskets or ribs. Not that there aren't some youngsters between the ages of 9 and 17 who are capable of it. We thought, let's use this as an opportunity to get even novice juniors into grilling more, right? And then once they get the bug, then they can enhance their own cooking skills. So we think year 2 of that will be huge from a competition standpoint. And then adding the open fire is a whole nother component. And what we're going to do is something that I don't believe another contest has done. As I mentioned, we're partnering with Al Fragoni, who's probably one of the most recognizable people when it comes to open fire, live fire, right?
Yeah.
And so his vision, and I went down to Hondo, made the announcement. Malcolm was there. Heath Rouse was down there doing some stuff with him, and a whole slew of Mike Starr, obviously those two are very tight, whole slew of barbecue people. And when we made the announcement, I mean, I was just besieged with brands and barbecue enthusiasts who said, this is awesome. And I think the reason that they think that this is going to be awesome is we're going to hold a contest on Thursday during the day. And then we're going to transition and create a public experience for Thursday night, all day Friday, and all day Saturday. So what will also make it different, because of our namesake being Memphis in May International Festival, what Al and us have been talking about is really highlighting 4 different regions of barbecue around the world. So if we're going to have a team from Ireland, which is our honored country for the year, let's have one of the food stations for the public to be centered around Ireland and their foods. Maybe a country out of South America, Germany, could be South Korea. There's all kinds of choices. So it would be a different type of barbecue experience, but be the open fire, which is extremely popular right now. And I can't tell you who, but Blackstone isn't the only name brand who's coming out with some new open fire equipment. So it is really catching on mainstream.
Yeah. Are you surprised at that? I mean, as somebody who has seen the evolution of live fire for the past, 50 years or so, is this something that you're into yourself? Are you going to put a Santa Maria style grill in your backyard?
I don't know if my wife will let me allow another one. I've been told that I'm at my limit. I keep threatening her, jokingly, of course. Well, I don't put a limit on how many pairs of shoes you have.
Right.
She doesn't think it's as funny as I do, Greg, but
Shocker.
Yeah, exactly. I am intrigued with it. And I think in talking with Al, who knows much more about this than I do, he is really excited that some of these products are, and it's the entry points that they're coming in at. Mm-hmm. So where it doesn't have to be $2,000, $3,000. Like the Blackstone, I think, is going to retail at around $500 if I'm not mistaken. So that makes it a little more affordable for people to put it in their backyard, try it, see if they like it, and then graduate up.
Do you see a point? Open fire goes well this year, goes well as next year, blah, blah, blah. Do you see a point, hypothetically, we're not holding you to anything, where we have the original 3 that are always going to be there at the end to see who gets overall grand champion? If the open fire portion continues to grow in popularity, could there be a bridge where the open fire winner is also on stage, and now instead of 3 people having, or 3 teams having the opportunity of winning overall title, that the 4th, that being the open fire, has potential of winning overall grand championship?
I don't know about the overall grand championship, but we are calling the winner of our open fire contest the open fire world champion, just like we would in the port category in this. And part of the reason that Al wants to work with us is he feels that this is scalable. So we might only be starting with 15 teams in year 1, but he knows with our expertise, we have the capability of scaling it, accommodating more teams from that standpoint. And from his perspective, he can then produce some other events. They all may look different, but with the caveat that it is a qualifier to come to Memphis in May's Open Fire World Championship. And they are going to be recognized on stage, just not on Saturday with the other teams in year 1. We're going to do it on Friday night. But the trophy that we're giving the world champion of Open Fire will look just like the Memphis in May World Championship too. So and we did the same thing with the junior contest, I should add, Greg. We brought them on stage and we gave them a trophy that, not the same size, but it looked just like our world championship. We want it to be memorable. If we're going to do it, we want to do it right.
So the open fire down the road in Memphis in May, this could be the culminating event of something that happens throughout the year. You win whatever a qualifying event is in November, and bam, next May you're down in Memphis trying to win the whole thing.
I mean, we're open to that, and that we're trying to help Al lay the groundwork. He and Mike Starr on that, and we've said from the get-go, as we were talking this through to see how we might work together, that we would welcome that. So that was another thing that I think excited Al to be a part of Memphis in May, other than just it's Memphis in May and it's prestigious, 48 years going strong, as Malcolm was saying earlier.
Still spots available for competitors, or are we tied up at this point?
No, we actually have applications are being accepted till February the 16th for our professional division. I think it's March the 2nd for the open fire division. And then a little bit later than that for the junior contest. If you give me a quick second, it actually closes on March the 16th. So we've kind of spread them out 2 weeks apart. Tickets are already on sale to buy experiences, whether it's the Barbecue Alley, which we created years ago for consumers, Tour Champions. Now we've created an open fire experience. So there's lots of different ways for people to experience barbecue at a very, very high level, because that's what consumers are coming to. They want to be able to taste quality barbecue. And then with Home Depot, with their outdoor kitchen, we have all kinds of different demos going on there. And because it's Home Depot, you get the outdoor furniture to relax in as you're watching the demos and meet the pit masters, which is important in all of the consumer elements we're doing, and then try the barbecue as well.
Sounds like a crazy week that is going to be happening over the course of just a handful of days. So appreciate you coming on tonight, Kevin, and letting us know all about it, talking about some of that Smoke Slam stuff as well. And we'll be looking forward to the comings of Memphis in May 2026.
If I may, Greg, if anybody's interested in either competing, buying tickets, we also have VIP packages. Just go to our website, memphisinmay.org.
Sounds good. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Greg.
You got it.
Look forward to being back.
Kevin Grothe right there. And we will have you back, Kevin. I can tell you that. Again, the website, if you are interested, memphisinmay.org, not .com, .org. And you can get all the information right there. Again, that's memphisinmay.org. So you got a steak cooking, you got the junior championships, you got the first year live or open fire event, which if it goes well, this could be the culminating event in May. You're going to spend the rest of the year qualifying, and then, well, wouldn't you know, you qualified, and now you're on your way to Memphis in May for the Open Fire World Championships. How about that? Love it. By the way, appreciate Kevin's honesty and openness while talking about the whole Smoke Slam situation, giving their take on it. All right, well, we're kind of caught up there, so we will wrap up the first hour. Coming back, so stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Anyway, thank Kevin Grothe for joining us last segment. Again, really appreciating not only allowing me to I'm going to ask him anyway, but taking the time and the thoughtfulness of answer when talking about the pause of Smoke Slam and Memphis in May's take on this unified event. Things that I took away most from that portion was this isn't going to be a morphed, named event going forward if there's any type of accommodations made on either side. I'm still wildly and endlessly interested / fascinated with how Memphis in May would go back to Tom Lee Park. Especially with the CEO of Memphis River Parks Partnership really jamming Memphis in May up a couple of years ago. So seeing them relocating out of Liberty Park, going back to Tom Lee Park, while it sounds very romantic and nice and all of these other adjectives, I don't know how that happens. Logistically, from a team's perspective. But as Kevin said, if there's other ways where they could take advantage of multiple spaces around the city and pull off a Memphis in May, then maybe that's the solution there. But I think it's unrealistic to think you're just going to be able to drop that bad boy back into Tom Lee Park. Everything's going to be Jake. I don't agree with that. Also, if you are a competitor looking to get into Memphis in May, you have 13 days left to submit your application. So you can go to memphisinmay.org. That's memphisinmay.org and get your application right there. And then if you want to apply to the state cook-off event or the barbecue, the Junior Barbecue World Championship, varying dates of closure or deadline that you will have to meet there. So just make sure you head on over to the website and get your information, get your entries in. And again, very excited about this whole open fire thing. Is 2026 the year of the Santa Maria style grill? Forget if 2026 is going to be the year that Weber dominates. It's this year everybody gets the Santa Maria style grill. We'll see. We'll be back right after this. Stick around.